Hi friends! Because I've been reading quite a lot in Japanese recently, I thought I would take you along while I organize my Japanese bookshelf and also explain how I keep track of all the difficulty levels of the books to know which book I should read next, for example. And I will also explain what I do with words I don't know, like when I decide to study them or when I decide to leave them. First, let's get started with organizing my physical bookshelf. Right now I have books in two different bookshelves and I would like to combine them into one, but let's see if it fits actually. So that's where one part of my books is, and I put them with all my other English books. Those are the ones I feel like are quite a lot out of my reach and I won't be able to read them anytime soon. And that's my other bookshelf, basically right next to my desk. And that's where all my Japanese study books are, and that's where all my reading books are that I feel like are kind of attainable, that I could read kind of in the near future. As I said, I would like to combine the two bookshelves into one. I do have a little bit of room up there, but I don't know if I can make everything fit. And I also don't want to remove this organizer because there are all my Japanese exercise books in there, like all my notebooks and stuff. Let's see if I can make it fit somehow. This actually fit quite perfectly. I didn't think it would fit, to be honest. I think it will be quite a pain in the butt to get out this organizer right there, but I don't need it so often, so it's a problem to think about another day, I guess. So I would say the physical organization of the bookshelf is done. So now that we kind of organized my physical bookshelf, it's time to tackle my digital books. And to organize them, I made, of course, a Notion page because I love Notion. I just made a database with all the books I have. And then I gave them the according JLPT level. To figure this out, I went to Learn Natively, and there they rate all the books on the website according to the JLPT levels. So that's where I got the rating from. There aren't difficulty ratings for all the books, but at least for most of the ones I use. And you can also submit your own book suggestion, but then you have to tell them what you think the difficulty level is. And if I haven't read the book, it's a bit difficult, of course. So I don't really do that before I haven't read the book. I also have a checkbox for if I own the book. And then I also marked if it is a digital copy, physical copy, manga or book or graded reader. And then I also have the Learn Natively score next to it. So that's the score you can give the book if you rate it on the website. And they have different ranges. So it's not just N4 and that's it, but there are different kind of levels, and 5 or 6 levels together are the N4. So you know that within the N4 level, one book is more catered towards N4 beginners and the other one is catered more towards advanced N4 learners. That way I not only know its N4 level, but how difficult it is within the level. So for example, I'm right now at the start of N3. So if I would choose an N3 book to read, I would stick to the level 20 books compared to the, for example, level 26 books, which are a harder N3. And then I also made a property for the genre if I know it, and I don't know it for a lot of books, but sometimes Learn Natively also has the genre right next to the book. So then I just copied it, and also the number of pages. This was quite a lot of work, and the reason I did this was now I can filter the whole table after something I'm looking for. Because right now I use a few filters. I let Notion sort all the books according to the Learn Natively score, so that the easiest book is on the top and the most difficult one is more towards the bottom. I also only want to see the books that I own because I don't want to buy new books right now. And I also choose the JLPT levels N5, N4 and N3 because I'm right now at the start of N3. But if I would omit it, then I would have a way longer table with all the books that I own. I also own quite a lot of N2 reads and, oh, this is wrong. This is also an N2 read and also some N1 reads. Those I, of course, don't want to read anytime soon because I guess I would just give up, probably. As I said, I just filter it through like N5. I don't have any N5 books. N4 and N3. Then if I want to pick a book, I know, okay, I have like those options. And I'm also currently reading the Ojisama Toniko manga, and it's marked towards the end of N4. And I would agree with it. I think it's really good to read right now, like at my level. And the next book I'm going to be reading is this one, so Saigo no Natsu Kimi ga Ita. This is basically an N3 book, but it's only like one level higher than the Ojisama Toniko. So I guess this will be attainable. And it's also only 184 pages, so it should be fine. And if you also want to read this book, you can join me because I will be hosting a book club for this book this month in April. I will also leave the link below. And also, like most of the books that I have and own digitally, I got from the Mini-Immersion Discord server and also another Discord server that also has a lot of book clubs. I will also leave this down below. But sometimes there are also like kind of promotions on certain websites where you get ebooks for free, or like the first volume of a manga series for free. And I guess the intention of that is to get you hooked to want to read more volumes. And also with organizing all of my digital books, I would like to only have the books on my Kindle that are my current level. So no N2 books, no N1 books. So that I only see books that are kind of attainable and don't get sidetracked by any other things that are way too difficult. And to get the books on my Kindle, I use a program called Calibre. And you can just put all the books inside, select the ones you want to have on your Kindle, and then transfer it to your Kindle. If I would have it connected to my laptop, it would just appear right here. I haven't organized my Kindle yet, so I guess that's what I will be spending this week on. But at least I'm finished with the Notion database, and I'm really happy about it. It really makes my, organization tendencies happy. If you've enjoyed this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to keep updated with all my study routines, things I learned along the way, and also my moving abroad to Japan, feel free to subscribe. And now let's continue. And to keep track of all of the books I've read, I use a Japanese app called Bookmeter. And this works kind of like a slimmed down version of Goodreads. So you can follow persons you know, see what they are reading, and also share what you are reading. That's also where I keep my wish list, like from books I want to read in the future. So when I am at the Japanese bookstore, I can just take out my phone and see, okay, which books I want. If you want to follow me there, I will put my username in the description or the link to my profile. Let's now talk about how I went about reading the last couple of weeks. I don't really follow the intensive or extensive reading approach. I kind of do a mixture of both. So that means if I read a book like this one, which is a bit above my level, then I will just, of course, start reading it. But if I discover a word I don't know, I will look it up in the Shirabe Jisho app and then save it into a folder on the app and give the folder the name of my resource. Additionally, I will also mark the words I don't know in the book. Let me show you one page. As you can see, I marked them in a really pale apricot color and also wrote right next to it the translation in German. And this also helps me to practice my English as well, because if I look up the words in the Shirabe Jisho app, it will give me the English translation, and then I have to translate it in my head into German and write the German into the book. And yeah, sometimes if I don't know the English translation or it doesn't really make sense, I will also use the Wadoku website, which is a Japanese to German dictionary. And then I will just go on reading the book. And sometimes I will also encounter grammar points or words I just don't understand, and I will just let them go. I won't dwell on it. It will come up later anyways, in another resource if it's important, and then maybe I will understand it more if I have more context, for example, or another context for the word. I also won't study every word I save to the Shirabe Jisho app, because alone from this book I think I have 300 to 500 words I looked looked up, this is way too much to study and not everything is important. So I decided to kind of follow Justin Sang's method. He's also a YouTuber, and I will try to link the video also down below that I watched. And he suggested to only study the words that come up at least 3 times in different contexts, which is a good idea, I think, but I don't want to count how many times I saw the word in this book because I think it complicates things a lot. So I kind of tweaked it and made it a rule for myself that I will study a word if it appears in 3 different resources, because then I will save it into 3 different folders into the JLPT app and see, oh, it came up at least 3 times because it came up in 3 different resources. I used to mark those words with a little star because then it gets like a blue mark on the side if you look at the word list you saved. But I decided to just make it even easier for myself and just to make another folder with the words I want to know. So I just save like all the words that came up at least 3 times into my favorites folder. And then I only have to go through 1 folder if I want to study the words. I also haven't studied the words yet because I only started to use like this method when I started reading those books. I also made a folder for the Ojisama Tuneko manga and the Switch game. So I basically have 3 resources right now that the word could appear in. And I also kind of saved a few words from other resources I read before, but only the ones that were kind of interesting and I felt like I would use maybe someday. And I decided if I start studying those words and there are maybe too many in the favorites folder, I will just see which words I would definitely use myself as well, like in everyday conversation or writing, so that I can narrow it down even more. Using this method, I picked up a few words here and there without having to study them like in a traditional way with Anki, because I get my repeated exposure naturally from looking up the words, like every time I see them. This is also a lot more fun than just doing Anki cards. So that's my reading method for now. But of course this doesn't mean that it won't change in the future. Maybe I will just change it completely in 2 months, who knows, but that's where I'm currently at. Let me also know which methods you are using for reading. Maybe I can get some inspiration from them. And if you want to know how I rated this book, for example, or all the other books, you can head to my Instagram account. There I will write like a couple of like pros and cons for each book I read. But if you also want to have a video about like all the books I read with ratings and stuff, let me also know in the comments. I could totally do that. If you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please share it with a friend. And if you're now all fired up and want to start reading as soon as possible but don't really know where to start, you can check out this video right here where I talked about like how I started reading and what I wish I've done differently. Thank you so much for watching till the end of this video, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye!